Well, as senior pastor at Springwood Church of Christ, I thought it was a good time to bring an update to the church on our response to the COVID-19 situation, and also a response to how things are going on a financial level here at the church. Missionary J. Hudson Taylor is well known for these words: God's work done God's way will never lack God's supply. Similar to the words of the Apostle Paul, who said that my God will provide all your needs, or supply all your needs according to his glorious riches in Christ Jesus. We do have a God we can trust, a God who provides, and really want to give you an update on where we're at, what we've been doing, and how things are going at a financial level here at Springwood. Well, when this first hit us in March, and when services were shut down, and then when we found out that we couldn't even have life groups, home groups, youth groups, Celebrate Recovery, all of the ministries of the church were sort of shut down. It was a time of massive change and a time of quite a lot of fear and anxiety in the community as well. At the time, I remember thinking my goal as a senior pastor is that I want to do everything I can to keep this newly formed ministry team that we have here at Springwood, with a few new staff and a newly formed team together, to keep that team intact, motivated and ready to go once the restrictions are lifted. But it was also our goal and my goal for us to adapt and to meet ministry needs in constantly changing environment. That means that we needed to make sure that we could still do the full range of ministry in the life of the church, but in new ways. We still wanted to worship and fellowship and to do discipleship and outreach and to support mission. The church buildings might be closed, but of course God's church is very much alive and well and open for business. And so we had to find new ways to adapt and new ways to engage our staff, our volunteers, our whole team in ministry. Well, immediately we stepped in with live streaming services on Sunday mornings, and I've been really pleased with the way that they have been going and improving and developing week by week, and the number of different people that are starting to get involved in making that happen. So it's been really good and great engagement from our membership. We've been doing a Zoom after church fellowship on Sundays after the service as well, for a number of people to catch up and to see other friendly faces from church. And then a lot of our life groups, youth groups, young adults groups, prayer groups, women's groups have all adapted to meeting online through Messenger or through Zoom, or by sending a lot of emails, and then we've been doing phone calls to church members, Facebook groups to keep people well informed and well connected. A meals ministry has developed and is providing both pastoral care and outreach into the community. Our Pays team, along with Chris, organised gifts to local school teachers who are doing things tough in this coronavirus changing environment, and we were able to bless our local teachers with whom we have contact through our schools outreach programs through the Edge. It's been different for sure. Many of our staff are working from home most of the time, and at the same time as all of this, we're also beginning to plan and dream of what it might be like when things get back to a new normal in the future, whenever that will be, when restrictions are lifted. So the church, we've been quite active and I've been really pleased with the way church members, people like you, have engaged with new methods of communicating. People who have never used Facebook before have been watching our services on Sunday, live streaming. People who have not used Zoom or tried video conferencing ever have started to meet face-to-face through their iPads or their computers, or some even live streaming on through their TVs. But it's been great. Some of you have learned to give online where you used to give cash on Sundays, but really pleased with the way people are engaging. Missing the real contact with people, but doing our best as a church to continue to connect. Well, what about our finances? Well, as you could imagine, with no services on Sunday, with no conferences here, there was an immediate impact on our finances. All Spring Life conference activities were immediately cancelled. All physical church gatherings were ceased. And so this impacted us financially. You can imagine the income from conferences and bookings, from organisations that use the church, from people who attendance at the church facilities. For example, our Korean church that usually meets here on a Sunday. And so all of that, along with a slight dip in the offerings as well, because we're not passing the plate on Sunday services, meant that there was a drop, a cumulative impact of some $10,000 to $15,000 a month in terms of income in the life of the church. Of course, this was a concern to people like myself as your senior pastor, and to our elders, and to our whole church. And so we committed this to prayer, and since then, quite a lot's happened. First of all, we have been eligible to receive the church's JobKeeper package. This has been tremendous assistance to our church finances. We should start getting those funds through this month and each month while the scheme continues. And while it is continuing, it ensures that our staff team remains intact, and it really helps us at a financial level. So we have 6 staff that are eligible to receive the JobKeeper program, and that either goes through to the staff member, or it offsets the income that the church congregation was already paying for our ministry staff. Secondly, we also benefited from the federal government's cash flow boost scheme. I think it's called Cash Flow Boost. And this operates through the taxation system, and already we have received funds to help in the operation of the church through this time of great social upheaval and change. The Centenary Development Fund have also given 3 months grace for us not to pay our church loans. And so, and I guess the fourth and really important point to make about finances is not only has the church qualified for the likes of the JobKeeper scheme and the cash flow boost and the CDF reduction in having to pay our loan every month, our church members have continued to give faithfully. So thank you to you for continuing to give. And whilst there has been some dip in the offerings, and we expect that during this time when we're not meeting and we're not inviting neighbours and friends in the same way that we normally do into church services and programs, we're still very aware that people are generous and faithful in their giving to God's work, and just trusting in God through it all, and continuing to tithe and make those offerings, particularly online. And so what this means altogether is that financially we can say, praise be to God, we're doing okay at the moment for the foreseeable future. Our leaders are grateful for the way our church have engaged with new methods. We're grateful for the government assistance, and of course for the faithful giving of God's people. So God's good, isn't he? It's so true that God's work done God's way won't lack God's supply, and we trusting him now during this time, and I'm praying that this will be your experience in your personal life too through these hard times. We're also aware that even when we come out of this COVID restriction time, when the JobKeeper payments cease, it'll still be a challenging time, and we'll still be trusting God that he will supply all of our needs according to his glorious riches in Christ Jesus. May I just finish with a couple of reminders to you. First of all, please continue to give to God's work faithfully, because this is your act of worship, and it's also our act of faith. When we say to God, I'm trusting in you through it all, I'm going to continue to be faithful in my giving to God's work. Secondly, if you're not comfortable with online giving, so many people, I think 87% of our offerings are now received through computer direct transfers and Give Now applications. But if you're not comfortable with that, Pastors Jeff and myself are coming into the church office from time to time, and you can, by arrangement, you can deliver that, we can pop it in a safe, and it can be banked by our administration staff and looked after. So bring it in an envelope, and offerings can be delivered that way. And also I just wanted to remind you, particularly at this time of the year, that there is tax-deductible giving available through The Edge, which is like our related youth and community work, or our youth and community arm here at the church. And you can give to The Edge and receive tax-deductible giving so that you can receive some cash tax back for that offering. Just remember, God is faithful. He is to be trusted through it all, whatever's happening in your life. However stressful it is having kids home from school, or being isolated at home far away from your family and friends, or worrying about health and concerns that might be on your mind, our God is rock solid. He is a firm foundation for our lives. We can trust Him through the difficulties, through the storm, through the financial challenges, and we're believing that God will provide all our needs. Thanks for listening to me, and we look forward to seeing you again sometime soon. God bless.